The internet is down. You may have already heard rumors that it is dying, or have seen scary predictions about how even a small hiccup in its vast infrastructure could spell disaster for us all. But what if it just stopped working completely? What if one day you turned on your computer and tried to send an email but couldn't connect to the server? Or maybe you went to Facebook to see what your friends were up to only to find the page wouldn't load. Welcome to our channel, and today we're answering the question, what if the internet just stopped working? Could civilization as we know it come to a screeching halt? What would happen if no one had access to the World Wide Web anymore? At first, life without the internet might not seem so bad. Sure, you miss out on your favorite videos and podcasts, but there are plenty of books and board games you could play instead. No more Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, sure, but you could always go outside and meet some friends. It might even be nice not having your phone constantly buzzing with notifications every time someone liked your picture or commented on your story. For a few days, this might actually feel like a digital detox. In fact, it could even be kind of fun. No Amazon means you'd finally have to take out the trash. No Netflix means you'll finally catch up on sleep. No Google means you lines be forced to use that atlas in the basement instead of cheating off of Wikipedia. You might even rediscover the joys of writing letters and waiting weeks to get a response. But before too long, people would start to panic. They wouldn't be able to check the news, so they have no idea what was going on in the outside world. How would they keep up with their favorite sports scores or watch live streams of their favorite musicians? After a week, people would start to forget how to socialize. They wouldn't have any new memes to share or funny videos to pass around at work or school. People would have to get creative and start talking to each other face to face. Could you imagine such a thing? Of course, while most of us would be busy reconnecting with our real-life friends and family, others would jump at the chance to capitalize on this unique situation. Someone would set up a website called Is the Alternative. Come and charge people $10 to tell them yes, it is. A company would create a newspaper and deliver it daily to people's doorsteps for the low cost of $20 a month. And when all of these resources ran out, people would be forced to do something really crazy, read a physical book. Of course, someone would eventually figure out what happened. Was it a solar flare? Did someone accidentally hit the kill switch? Did the government just decide to cut off our internet access because they wanted to? Or was it the lizard people? It didn't matter, the damage would be done. The internet wasn't coming back. As days turned into months, everyone would realize that things weren't getting better. Farmers wouldn't be able to use GPS to determine the best route to market, which would raise food prices. Doctors wouldn't be able to consult with specialists halfway around the world, which would limit their ability to diagnose patients. Teachers wouldn't be able to assign their students online homework or look up answers to questions during class. Students would be forced to interact with each other instead of just playing video games together. And after years of not keeping up with the latest celebrity gossip, people would slowly forget who the Kardashians are. And now you might be wondering, wait a minute, if the internet disappeared, would cell phones still work? The answer is probably not. Most smartphones rely on the internet to function. Without it, they would revert back to being glorified brick phones capable of making calls and sending texts only within range of the nearest cell tower. If you live in a rural area, you've probably owned one of these at some point. They don't have fancy apps or the ability to connect to the internet. If you want to text someone, you have to physically push their name on the screen, then type out a message letter by letter. But what about television? Would TV still work without the internet? Yes, as long as you have a physical connection to the cable company. Cable and satellite TV providers have nothing to do with the internet, although many offer internet service as well. So as long as the physical wires and satellites are intact, you should still be able to watch cable TV. That is, of course, unless you're relying on streaming services like Netflix or Hulu. In fact, almost everything we watch or listen to today relies on the internet in some way. Even vinyl records require you to stream audio files to a record player via Bluetooth. CDs are pretty much useless since they don't include information about how to play the music. On a computer, you can't burn a CD without downloading the files first. Movie theaters rely on the internet to sell tickets and keep track of who has paid for what. In fact, entire industries have sprung up based around the internet that would grind to a halt without it. For example, many companies use cloud computing services like AWS or Azure to store data and run applications. Without the internet, all of these businesses would collapse, throwing millions out of work and causing chaos in the global economy. Companies that store their data on servers in their own data centers might be able to limp along, but it wouldn't be easy. They have to resort to sending physical tapes or hard drives via the US Postal Service to keep up with demand. If one of those shipments gets lost or stolen, it could take weeks to recover the data, assuming it ever gets recovered at all. There would be no more software updates, no more automatic backups. Companies would have to write everything manually to backup tapes and pray they don't get damaged or erased by accident. Any mistakes would be catastrophic and irreparable. Now let's say you live off the grid. You've got a cabin in the woods with no phone or internet service. Maybe you've been stockpiling canned goods and bottled water, prepping for just such an emergency. Wouldn't this be your time to shine? Well, maybe, but probably not. You see, even if you manage to live comfortably off the land, you're still gonna need gas to power your generator, food from somewhere else to supplement your meager stores, and a way to defend yourself from people who aren't as prepared as you are. The internet plays a critical role in our modern society, even if we don't realize it. It helps regulate our power grid, keeps tabs on our food supply, and tracks the spread of deadly diseases. When we talk about pandemics, we often focus on how social distancing and mask wearing help prevent the spread of disease. But one of the most important things we can do to fight the spread of a pandemic is to identify and quarantine patient 0, the people who have the disease but don't know it yet. Without the internet, contact tracers would spend countless hours poring over phone records and physical documents trying to find out who patient 0 interacted with. By the time they managed to track everyone down, they'd be well on their way to infecting hundreds more people. In fact, it would be nearly impossible to track the source of an outbreak or predict where it is headed next without the internet. We also rely on the internet to keep our power grid stable. Most of our electrical grids are controlled via SCADA systems, which rely on real-time data about the grid's performance to function properly. Without the internet, these systems would become almost useless. We'd be forced to rely on older methods of generating and distributing electricity, which would be far less efficient. We might even have to go back to using coal and nuclear power in order to make up for the shortfall. And what happens if the outage lasts longer than expected? At some point, hackers will figure out how to exploit the system and steal billions of dollars from unsuspecting users. No one wants to be hacked, but thanks to the internet, we don't have to worry about it very often. With most of our money stored in digital accounts, it's relatively safe from theft. But if we lose access to the internet, we'll have to start carrying around wheelbarrows of cash again. Not only will this make it easier for criminals to steal our money, but it will also put an enormous strain on banks and other financial institutions. How many people are going to try and withdraw tens of thousands of dollars once they hear that the bank still has money available? In the end, life without the internet would be short and brutal. While some people might enjoy the slower pace at first, it wouldn't take long for things to go wrong. Global supply chains would collapse, economies would crumble, and countless businesses would fail. Eventually, the human race would be pushed back to the Stone Age, all because we never figured out how to fix it.